With school out, youth can only handle so many pool parties and summer camps. Most can agree, without stimulation, children can quickly become bored and cranky. A local nonprofit has a plan that can keep your kids entertained and help out our four-legged friends until they can find a forever home. All the details are coming up on Polk Place. Welcome to Polk Place. I'm your host, Ariel Schiller, and we're here today with some ladies from the SPCA, Samantha Holmes and Jessica Lawson, and little Susie, too. Welcome.
Thank you so much. She seems to have settled in quite well.
Yeah, she looks very comfortable. So just tell me a little bit about the SPCA for viewers who might not have seen you on this program before.
Sure. So SPCA Florida is headquartered in Lakeland, but we serve not only the Polk County community, but other counties as well, depending on what the needs are. We are a nonprofit organization, so we're a 501c3, and we were founded in 1979, so we've been around quite a while. A lot of people are surprised to hear that in addition to just adoptions, you know, cats and dogs is what they think of us, but we also have a huge medical center. So we have everything from hyperbaric oxygen therapy to spays and neuter surgeries, which is obviously key to keeping the population down. But yeah, lots of advanced equipment, and people are normally blown away when they see our medical center. We have 9 doctors on staff. So we also do a lot of community programs. Anna Meals is one of them, which is where we deliver to our partner agencies food for pets of homebound residents or seniors. You know, a lot of times that's the reason those people wake up in the morning, so those programs really help, you know, keep their companions with them.
I know that you were talking earlier before the show about the pet foster program.
Right.
Does that go hand in hand with that as well? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. A lot of times fostering is important because we get in animals that are too young or ill or injured. We work a lot with our partner agency, Polk County Animal Control, and transfer in animals that might need surgery, again, utilizing our medical source, and then also Guardian Angel Fund, which is donor-provided funds for surgeries and treatments of different you know, ailments. So fostering allows those animals that have had surgeries or are being treated for something, or maybe just need to grow a little bit more. You know, it's kitten season right now, so we get in lots of kittens. And they just need time to be able to grow before they can have their spay and neuter surgery and then be put up for adoption.
I heard a little bit about you saying the donor programs. How can people help through donations? Is there monetary? Is there any other way they can help?
Sure. One of our campaigns that we recently launched was our Pet Enrichment, which is an area that's near and dear to Sam because she works daily with the animals that we serve. So that campaign, we raised money and are still raising money for supplies for the animals. So Sam can tell you a little bit more about some of the enrichment. You know, animals are there and they'd rather be in a home running around, but we try to keep them as happy and healthy when they are in our care. So Sam can tell you a little more about some of the ways that we do that.
I guess that'll go into how do you keep the animals happy and healthy then?
Okay, well, their psychological well-being is just as important as their physical well-being, and it can be pretty stressful in the shelter and sometimes lonely and scary. So we want to give them something to do, something to take them out of that kind of stressful situation. So we make toys with pipe cleaners or feathers or things that we can tape on the cage walls or suction, something to stimulate them and get them going, so that takes them out of that kind of stress.
What are the types of situations you see when animals come into the shelter?
There's different things. In her case, her owners were not allowed to keep her and her sisters due to landlord restrictions. We see a lot of just can't take care of them anymore, be that financially or because they work too much, or new situations in the home with a new baby or having to move and things like that. So
the foster program, I mean, you know, you could probably see that the animals are upset that maybe their owners gave them up. How does that help with the situation with the pet foster, helping them become happy again?
Socialization is what I'm thinking of.
The shelter is very stressful for cats. A lot of them have a difficult time adjusting to this new situation where there's so much noise and new smells, and they're kind of stuck in this small area where they can't hide, which cats like to do when they're stressed. Sometimes for cats who've not been socialized really well, and that means they're not really open to new experiences, sometimes we'll send them to a foster home to where they can kind of adjust there and I guess adjust in a way that makes them more open to new situations. So they're not so stressed every time they're introduced to a new person or a new situation.
Right.
And how long does an animal get fostered for? Is there a regular length of time that they would be at a foster home?
It can take days, weeks, and there have been some that are in a foster home for months.
Yeah. The last set of foster kittens that I had, they were brought in because their mom was killed. It was an outdoor cat. She'd had babies, and they needed bottle feeding, and the person who had rescued them wasn't doing very well with it. So we took them in, processed them, and then I took them home, bottle feedings every 3 hours, which is a lot. But from there, you know, they start eating the regular food on their own, and then they get up to weight, and then, you know, they're ready to be adopted. But the process was probably, I had them for about 3 months, you know, because they came in tiny, like very tiny.
And I mean, just in the shelter even, how long is an average length of stay for the animals?
Talk about senior pets.
Yeah, it's so difficult. Of course, the young ones get adopted quickly.
Right.
We do have some adult animals, especially ones that are up there in age, that will kind of be at the shelter for months before we find someone that's willing to take them home.
A lot of times if the animals have any special, you know, for example, can be the only pet in the household, especially for cats, because a lot of times, because cats normally are social, that, you know, people will have a couple of different cats.
Right.
But even for dogs, you know, if they can only be the only dog in the household, that takes a very special home. You know, if they can only be with adults versus, you know, adults and kids. The important message there is that we do allow them enough time, you know, plenty of time. There's no restriction on how long they can be there. We've had a couple, Sugar Cookie is one of our dogs who has been with us since January. So 7 months, which obviously isn't ideal. You know, we don't want Sugar Cookie at our facility. We want Sugar Cookie in a home where she can run around and play, but she, you know, she needs the time. And when we talk about utilizing foster, that's another way. You know, sometimes we'll circle an animal through foster if they've been at the shelter for a long time, just to let them stretch their legs and give them a break, and then bring them back and, you know, push them, you know, push again that they can get adopted. So definitely take a chance on the senior pets, and, you know, if you're going to adopt, like, come in and ask who the longer residents are. You know, puppies are cute, but the older animals and the long-term residents, they need homes too.
I'm curious to find out with foster care, I mean, if I had an animal in my home for an extended amount of time, I would probably want to keep it. Do you see that a lot where foster families might keep the animals?
There are some foster failures.
Yeah, I think that it comes along with the territory. I have foster failed before, but what I tell people to try to, you know, help them understand is that if you adopt all the animals that you foster, then you can't take on as many every time. And the other thing is you're depriving another family of that animal's love. So it's almost like selfish, you know, if you keep them all, in which, you know, I've kept plenty of my fosters, but, you know, it is a good thing to also bring them back and let another family experience that joy of that foster animal.
And going into, when they do come back into the shelter, what activities are there for the dogs specifically? Sure.
So for dogs, we have Open Paw, which is a program where we have little buckets of treats or kibble on their cages, and we encourage people to, you know, give them a treat, have them come to the front of the cage. When Sam talked earlier about, you know, socializing the cats, that enables us to socialize the dogs, and just they show better. You know, when people are coming up and they're like, "Oh, you're gonna give me a treat," you know, they're sitting there wagging and excited to see people, so that helps. The other thing is Kongs, the little rubber treat dispenser holders. We freeze those with peanut butter, so it takes them longer to lick the peanut butter out, and it provides
Keeps them occupied for a
yeah,
while.
it provides that mental stimulation that they need. The other incredible thing that we offer at our shelter are doggy play groups. So canines that have been tested with a smaller group or are known to be canine friendly, we allow out in our huge exercise yard. And there's a couple different canine groups, you know, the Bridge Club, I think they call them, which are the more senior pets that just kind of like to lounge around the yard. And then there's the more active ones that like to kind of, you know, run around and tumble with each other. There's huge bone-shaped dog pools for the ones that like water, so that really allows them to get out and, you know, again, stretch their legs, and you really get to see their personality shine. We also have someone who teaches, actually a group, staff and volunteers who teach Canine Good Citizen, which is just some basic commands, learning to walk nicely on a leash, and so forth.
I guess because, you know, you do have two kinds of animals, is there anything different that you do for the felines or the cats?
Sure. So you want to talk, we've mentioned some of the toys, the pet enrichment campaign that we just did. Obviously we can do the homemade pipe cleaners and so forth, but cats love to scratch. It helps them release stress, and it's just a natural instinct for them. So in order to make sure that, no diseases are spread and so forth, we have to provide individual scratchers for every single cage. So that can get expensive. So that's what the campaign helps provide. At any given time, we have 70 to 100 cats at the shelter, and you figure they're constantly being adopted, and new ones are coming in. So, providing the incline scratchers, the toys that can actually stay with them and then go to their new home. We have a volunteer who's done little
hammocks for the cages.
Yeah, so there's different ways people can help and donate and get involved.
Well, besides donations, can people come and help out in person as a volunteer?
Definitely. We have an incredible volunteer program. Anyone 16 and up can apply online, spcaflorida.org. The volunteer application is on there. You'll then be invited to an orientation just to kind of tell everyone what our organization is about and make sure they understand, our policies and so forth. Then it moves into interviews to say, well, do you want to work with cats? Do you want to work with big dogs? So forth. And then you begin your training. So you're shadowing a seasoned volunteer or a staff member to really learn, what's important. Don't use the same scoop between litter boxes, because again, we're trying to keep the pets healthy. So that's pretty much the process for our volunteer system.
Well, what exactly, when a volunteer is there, like an already seasoned volunteer, what kind of things do they do?
Sure, do you want to tell them like the category volunteers?
Yeah, they'll just take you around and show you the protocol with cleaning and enrichment, giving them interaction, and then how to read their paperwork and any medical things they have going on, and then we'll kind of train you how to talk to customers and answer questions.
So they're literally doing everything that the staff is doing. They're cleaning up after the animals, they're helping people visit with the animals, depending on, what type of animal it is.
Thank you so much for coming today and speaking with us about it.
Sure, thank you so much for having us. And Susie, I think, has officially
She's
passed
fallen
out on
asleep,
us.
yes.
Yes, I think we bored her. So sad.
SPCA Florida invites volunteers, both young and old, to join their pet enrichment program. Staff and volunteers care for and interact with SPCA Florida's cats and dogs throughout the day, providing what so many of these pets need most: unconditional love and attention. Staff members and volunteers also create handmade toys with catnip, pipe cleaners, and other items for SPCA Florida's 70-plus feline residents. And they fill and freeze rubber Kong toys with peanut butter to help stimulate more than 50 canine residents. SPCA Florida recently launched a pet enrichment program campaign to help provide year-round entertainment and stimulation for the organization's furry residents as they eagerly await for their forever homes. To find out more about how SPCA Florida keeps its pets enriched and in the best shape for adoption, give them a call at 863-646-7722 or visit them on the web at www.spcaflorida.org/adopt.